So, welcome to our first podcast together, and it's quite an exciting and quite special moment for me because we have known each other for so many years, and we've been through so many things together, and gone through so many different transformations, and going through one right now as we speak. So it's so beautiful to have you here, to have this opportunity to actually talk it out and share it with the audience, because every single time we speak, it feels like something magical happens. And then I always think to myself, well, it would be amazing if other people got a chance to hear this, because so much healing happens in these conversations.
That's true.
So welcome.
Thank
you for being here.
I thank you, Julia, because you've also been a big part of my transformation. You're such a phenomenal woman. I've loved to watch you grow, and as you've been growing, so have I, and it's just really a beautiful relationship. And you're absolutely right. We've got that sort of relationship that when we start talking about things, it kind of feels like it's going into a vortex.
Yeah.
It's like nothing else exists around us, and it really is a healing field.
Yeah.
So absolutely, I'm really happy that we're here to share this with each other and with other people.
Well, how about maybe we start with you introducing yourself,
Okay.
just a little bit about what you do. Obviously, we're going to have an introduction, but a little bit from in your words, in a couple of words, what you're about.
Okay, so my name is Katia Boustani. You guys probably can see that. And I've been on a spiritual journey my whole life, as we all have been in many ways, right? So even if you're aware or unaware of it, you're still on a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
And I started to become aware of it I would say even when I was a teenager, I started to become really aware of it, but I started to have more involvement in it, more surrender to it in a different way when I was in my 20s, and I started getting into the breath. So initially I was doing yoga, and I had a phenomenal teacher who spent a lot of time teaching us about the breath rather than the movement, really. It was all about the breath, and the movement was an extension of the breath. Mm-hmm. And so I really already understood very deeply when I got into rebirthing breath work, how the breath plays with the body and the body plays with the breath. Mm-hmm. It was something that I already had embodied. I deeply understood it. But when one of my friends said to me, oh, you have to try this new technique, it's just breathing, I was like, okay, let's go along and have a look. And I just couldn't believe how deep the breath could take you. Mm-hmm. And in alignment with my previous teacher, who always said that the simplicity of the breath is the most powerful thing, I realized that this type of breathing that I was learning at that time, rebirthing breath work or conscious connected breathing, was the most powerful form of breathing because it took you back to the pranayama of newborn babies. So it wasn't us, our mind, or trying to get anywhere or anything. It's just going back to the baby's breath, to that full and free circular breathing. And that in itself transforms your energy and takes you into deeper states of consciousness. So it was so exciting, that first session. I'll never forget it. It was really, really like a psychedelic experience, right?
I'll never forget our first session with you also.
Yeah.
I remember when we met, it must have been about 3-4 years ago. I was still back in Cyprus, and I was going through a turmoil of life events. I've lost my father recently, has gone through divorce. I had a lot of responsibilities suddenly put on me, and I was in a very strange relationship at the time. Mm-hmm. And I remember meeting you, and a very good friend of ours who is coincidentally here actually has recommended that we connect. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first session that we had, I went into this like tetany, like I did not expect at all that breath, something as simple as just breathing, focusing on breathing, and can send your body and your mind through such a, like a I don't know, a very powerful experience. Mm-hmm. I remember my hands and my knees and everything. It was scary almost because you are tapping into something that you haven't tapped into before. And as our sessions have progressed, I have no idea how many we've had so far. Probably over 100. I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
It's been many sessions. So I'm really grateful because I've learned how to establish a relationship with the breath through our connection. And that has really supported me. And we'll go into that a little bit deeper later. But, once you establish that relationship with the breath and you realize that by expanding your consciousness with the breath, you expand your life with it.
Absolutely.
What's within, so without.
Right.
And today, for the topic of our discussion, as we have prepared, we really wanted to touch on the subject of the divine femininity. The womb, the cosmic womb, as well as the womb, the physical womb, the relationship with the womb, the relationship with the feminine, the relationship with the Mother Earth, as well as with with our own femininity. So this is where we're opening the space and holding the space for this discussion to go, because I know you have so much to share on the topic. You have this this aura about you that just like exudes femininity, and it's got a very playful way of relating to femininity, and so much wisdom to share. So we're gonna kick off with that for now.
Amazing.
So thank you for an introduction. Like you said, breath is an incredible experience, incredible way of dealing with yourself. But also, I have found that breathing into the womb has brought up so many experiences for me. What is it like being a woman nowadays? And
right.
For so many years, we have gone through so many different phases of relating to being a woman, relating to femininity.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
How it has shown up for us. So I'll give it to you to expand on.
Well, first of all, I have to say I love being a woman. I really love being a woman. And growing up as a woman or growing up as a girl in an environment where there was a mystery to being a woman. So I come from a Lebanese background, very conservative actually. And there was that feeling that being a woman was a phenomenal thing when you were around women. So, for example, even cooking with the other women. So cooking is a very important part of our culture. So when the women got together and started cooking, it really, and I was a little girl, it really felt like magic was happening in that kitchen, right? And all of the strange little secrets that my mother used to say to me, but without being too obvious about it, because we were supposed to keep that part of ourselves very sheltered, because it was very, very important that you kept this a mystery, especially your virginity, of course, okay? So that you were desirable for marriage, because if you weren't a virgin, then who would desire you? Who would want you? Okay, so all of that was very interesting. Growing up in that environment was beautiful, but there was that authority of the male figure. It was very, very strong in my family. And I understand in many ways why, because especially in Arab communities, it's very tribal. And, if you think about it, in the primitive sense, the women had to be sheltered and taken care of, because in the desert or in certain situations, communities or whatever, the woman was always considered, let's say, the weaker sex. Okay. But the truth is that my belief is that we are phenomenally powerful, incredibly powerful. And by default, that type of learning in any culture, so maybe in my culture it was a little bit extreme, but it happens even in Western cultures, even in the most, as you're growing up as a little girl, there are certain references the way people refer to you, oh, you're so pretty, that dress is so nice. I mean, I was even doing it unconsciously to my own children. I would go and buy them the prettiest dress I saw because I wanted to see them growing up as girls, really happy with their beauty, really into it. Okay. So there is so much more to it than that, though. And since we're talking about the womb and womb magic, really, because your womb is magic, it's this incredible part, it is the part of being a woman, which takes you to that level of being the vessel of creation, okay? And I think that that is something that can make a lot of people afraid of their own femininity. But the womb is a magical thing, and it's incredibly tied to nature and to the earth, right?
Yeah.
So we're more connected in many ways to the elements of the earth, or let's say our feminine side, because we all have a masculine and a feminine side, right? So our feminine side is really, really connected to the earth. And I remember we were discussing this before. One of my favorite songs by Chrissy Hind, The Pretenders, is called Hymn to Her. So we're not talking about HIM hymn, we're talking about a hymn which is like praise, right? And there's one line in that song which really blows my mind. And she says, I'll be your lover from the womb to the tomb. And she's actually talking about the divine feminine, because we're born from a woman's womb. We're born from darkness. We're born because there was a seed planted into our womb, right? Into our mother's womb,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the womb shelters us and allows us to grow and teaches us so many things about life through our own mother. So it teaches us as we are coming into this experience in life, we're taking all of that information from our mother and we're integrally attached. So we're completely attached to her by the umbilical cord, right? And she's feeding us, and we're in that incredible environment, timeless, and we are growing, we're expanding, we're growing, we're expanding, we're learning, we're coming into being, we're it's just amazing, the journey in the womb, right? And then you have this journey through life from the moment you take your first breath, you take an inhale, until your last breath, which is an exhale. So it's just a series of breaths throughout life. And then you go back into the tomb, which is the earth, and the earth is our mother, right? So actually you're going back into the darkness, into another type of womb. And from whatever it is that comes out of you, life grows, okay? And this whole cycle is incredibly powerful and beautiful if you can embrace it. Because one of the problems is that people are in so much fear of this power. Okay. And one of the things I always love to tell women is appreciate how phenomenally powerful your body is, how incredibly flexible, what it does.
Well, what is this fear of the feminine? Like, you know how in certain religions and certain traditions, women
Yep.
are not allowed to enter churches
Yeah.
or the houses of worship if they are on periods, for example.
Right.
What is this? What is this fear of this feminine of the feminine?
Yeah. Okay. So traditionally, if you go into anthropology and you really read into it, you realize that the dynamic changed from matriarchy, where the woman was revered and worshipped in a way because she had all of this ability to birth, to create, to conceive and create. And so conceiving and creating, conceiving and growing something in your body and birthing it merges and is aligned with conception, even of an idea. Okay, so we conceive an idea, we allow it to grow in our mind, and then we birth it into a beautiful new being, into something that is a reality. Okay, and so all of this is tied in with being a woman because we're actually able to do that with our bodies. Okay. So if you go into anthropology, you see that patriarchy started to develop. So we're going to talk about patriarchy and not in a negative way whatsoever, because it's not them and us. It's
Yes.
just us.
Exactly.
You know, we're one thing,
Balancing out, in
right?
harmony,
And we're in harmony. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to make people understand that, you know, it's a collective, it's an idea, it's a collective consciousness. So we can't blame it on anybody. It's the way that everybody thinks. And this is why we're going in this direction. And the more that we speak about other directions, the more that we can change the direction the world is going in. Because we need to get back to loving our earth. We need to get back to loving our planet. We need to get back to surrendering to this cycle of life and try and stop trying to be so controlling
Yes.
with it. Okay. So, historically speaking, when men started or people started to farm the land, okay, there was they were working so hard on creating this piece of land into something which grew food for their community, that they started to become possessive over it.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yes, it was just a normal evolution. Okay.
Ownership,
And
basically.
yes, ownership. Exactly. So they wanted to own the land, right? And the thing is that a woman always knows that a child is hers. So you know because you birthed the child, you know it's yours. But a man can never really know this. Okay. And so as this structure became more dense, there was a need to control the sexuality of the woman. And the sexuality of the woman is wild. Okay, so a woman knows every single month, because of her period, that this is her role in life. And when you're really connected to your body, especially as a teenager and as you start to, in those birthing years, let's say, right? Your desire is to birth a baby. Okay. And before all of these social structures came into place, the women would literally go out and be with whoever they wanted to be because it was natural for their body to birth a baby. Okay. So this desire had to be controlled. And a thought structure was created around it. So whether you want to call this religion or politics or, you know, whatever you want to call it, a thought structure was created around it where a woman needed to be owned. So she wasn't allowed to have sex with anybody else so that the man knew that this land that he owned and farmed would go to his child. Okay. And that's how it developed. And that's how for many, 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 many years, and even still now, you know, there is a huge importance of whether this is my child or not. Okay, so what does my child get?
Yes.
Right? And, you know, but traditionally, tribally, the child belonged to the community. Right? So in matriarchal thought, matriarchal thinking is circular. So we're all in a community raising this child to be able to survive in the community and be whatever potentially they can be, right? But in the patriarchal type of thinking, there is a hierarchy.
Yes.
Okay. So you can even see it through the symbolism, right? So, you know, just being blunt, if you look at the symbol for the masculine, it's an arrow, okay, which is representing the penis, really, okay. And if you look at the symbol for feminine, it's a circle, okay. And so there is a difference there because what we need is to come in harmony because our world is different to the way it used to be. We can't go back to being so primitive. Unless you really want to. You can go and find it somewhere because everything exists on this earth, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to live here in this planet, in your reality, you need to merge the two because, the arrow is doing and the circle is being.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to be able to merge these two and create a life for yourself which is in harmony. And it's so beautiful if you really think about it. It's fascinating, right? So yeah, that's where this social structure has come from, and one of the reasons that our Earth is going in this direction is too much emphasis on ownership.
Yes.
Okay, because ownership means control, and this is what everybody's going through.
Yeah.
So when it comes to women who are phenomenally successful and really, really great, and they really are, and I know many women like that, there is a part of them which is going into this masculine part of thinking, and that's where they're ignoring the feminine side of themselves.
So they focus on ownership, they focus on results, they focus on doing.
Yeah.
So it's more about, no, I wouldn't say more aggressive, but more acting out rather than, being.
Yeah.
But is it possible then to be successful, say, for example, in the business world, if you're not acting out of the masculine traits?
Yeah. So fortunately now in the business world, slowly, there are enlightened business models. Okay. And it's really, really beautiful. And there are many countries and some people think that those are only some of the Western countries are doing this or that. No, there are many countries where there is a deep respect for the woman. So, for example, many, many times people think that the Islamic culture is putting women down, but that's not true, because if you really get involved in the Islamic culture and you speak to the women, they're very, very happy and they're very beautiful and they're able to merge the two because there is that deep respect for a woman and her mysteries and taking care of her in a way so that she can evolve and raise her children. Okay, so this is, it's important to respect all cultures and to understand that things have developed in a certain way. Each culture is unique. Okay. I think that this podcast, or generally speaking, when you go into this type of work, what you should really understand is that even when we use the term empowering women, it's going away from the truth of being a woman. Okay? Because when you speak about power, it's a masculine energy.
It's true, yeah. It is,
okay.
Yeah.
We are in our power. We're in our power just because we're so flexible. We're able to conceive, grow, and birth a human being and raise it. Like it's our responsibility to raise that human being in a way so that that human being is able to cope with the world, okay, but also be really, really aligned with their feminine side.
So would it almost sound like choosing creativity over power?
Well, I like the term creativity, and I think that sometimes we really like to categorize. That's a male thing as well. It's a masculine energy. Let's put everything in a box.
Yeah.
Right. But creativity is very, very beautiful side of life.
Yeah.
Okay, and so is power, but only if you really understand what the word power means, because I think there is a huge misinterpretation with the word power. It's not one person being above anybody else. There is no hierarchy, superiority, inferiority, all of these sort of things in a world, because we talk about the new earth, right?
Yeah.
In the new earth, it doesn't have a place.
Power itself doesn't have a place.
I mean, even if you think of the word,
Yeah.
right? So it's okay, of course. People are using words in the way that they know how to use them. And they're using words because if you think you need to be empowered, you're coming already from a place of inferiority.
That
It
makes
means
sense.
that you feel inferior.
That makes sense.
Okay. When you stand in your power and you know that you are and you have power in any situation because you're sovereign.
Sovereign, yeah.
Okay.
And you're capable.
And you're capable, then there's nobody who is superior or inferior. It's a relationship of equals.
Yeah.
And these are the beautiful things, the beautiful concepts that we talk about with the New Earth, which is one of the wonderful things that you're developing, Julia. Do you want to talk a little bit about that just as a side topic?
Well, I think New Earth, yes, for sure. But also this self-love concept has just popped into my mind.
Right.
Because the way that you are describing it is, you saying about the power and empowerment. This was also discussed a lot with the subject of self-love and whether self-love is selfish.
Right.
Or whether self-love is, taking care of yourself. So it's a very similar kind of, parallel here because in so many ways, when people talk about self-love, first reaction of a conditioned mind, let's put it this way, is you're being selfish. You're only thinking of yourself. That means that you loving yourself over other people. You only love yourself and no one else. So it's a very similar kind of context here. So again, it's like seeing it either through the prism of categorizing and hierarchy and superiority, which I feel is more of a, I might be wrong here, but it feels more of an ego kind of centered way, the one that is black and white and categories and hierarchies and separation. This is all a construct that is developed by our mind, which is ego, which is edging God out.
Right.
Now, when we are talking about self-love and the concept that is part of the New Earth kind of paradigm, which we are advocates of, and we putting all of our efforts in building and growing and sustaining whichever way we can, is the fact that the resources which are in question when we're talking about ego and control, the resources are easily available to everybody at all times.
Right.
So there is no need for separating who has more, who has less.
Beautiful.
There is enough for everyone. There is no competition on to who has more, as well as when you truly learn and when you truly embrace that love that you have for yourself as a sovereign being, and you realize that there is no separation between you and others, then you love everybody else equally.
Beautiful.
So this is really what New Earth is about. It's about community. It's more of a feminine. Now when I hear you speak, the New Earth, it is more kind of like guiding us rather than, we don't understand it with our mind, this concept completely. All we're doing is just surrendering to it because we know there's something that's coming through us and developing here on Earth. And so the idea that it's more of a feminine, let's put it this way, concept where it's like, we are all interconnected. It's like moss, it's like mycelium, it's like tree trunks and tree roots. When one grows, everybody else benefits. When the one tree dies, the whole tree feels it. But when the one tree dies, the whole forest feels it. But when the one tree dies, the resources that are left from that tree are going to feed the rest of them.
Beautiful.
So it's that ecosystem where individuality is not seen as means of separation. It's uniqueness that is celebrated because we know that each one has something very special to give and to contribute to the community, while at the same time, that very special doesn't need to compete with anybody else because there's nobody else like them. So it's a more of an elevated way of looking at it. It might be a little bit difficult for people to comprehend because we are living in the times that are very turbulent, where,
Right.
I feel like the ego is at its peak of, war. It's at its peak of fight, of
Right.
flight. It's when we see the content, not the continents, the countries are separating even more, fighting even more for the resources, where all of this darkness, I would say, maybe not, but a lot of corruption comes out. So not as much transparency. So when we are in a place like this, where we're almost on the edge, or we are not almost, we are on the edge of going into the new evolutionary wave.
Right.
When we are on the edge of going into new evolutionary wave, it is always the choice of each and single one of us. What is it that we choose? If we choose to fight for ownership, if we choose to fight for separation with others, what we're doing, we're feeding that feeling of not enough, that feeling of lack, that feeling of that we are not protected, that we somehow need to protect ourselves from our neighbor. So it creates a distrust. This is an old way of living. We know by now it doesn't serve us any longer.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's why, with self-love and with New Earth Cafe even, and with New Earth Studios and with Value Game, whatever this, place produces, it's always behind it is the concept of the ever-encompassing love towards community, and community being as one, and feeding each other in that one. But that means it's not going in one direction, which means it's all about, like you said, ownership and separation. Not going in another direction where it's like communism, to a degree. It's also a concept that didn't work for us. I mean, I descend from the country that has experimented that on our people, and I can say it didn't work really well.
Yeah. Well, there's human nature, honey, and that is something very important because you see, taking any concept and trying to force people to believe it is violent.
Yes.
Okay. And we've grown up with enough violence in our life.
Yeah.
Okay. Even from the moment of birth, there is violence for the majority of people because their birth wasn't allowed to evolve. It was probably rushed, because most children were born in hospitals. And so already from the moment of birth, from the moment that you come out of that womb environment where you feel that you are a part of another person's body, or you may not have that concept intellectually, but it's a feeling, okay? You come into a situation where there's urgency, okay, the majority of the time.
Yeah.
And so if a birth was allowed to evolve in its natural state with the protection, because we're not saying that, everything has its place. That's what I'm trying to say. Everything has its place. So there are times where, it's necessary that urgency is taking place. And there are times where it's necessary where a relationship with life is allowed to evolve. Okay. When you are allowed to come into this planet in the way that is most natural to you, you are by default more empowered. Even if you're an infant. So people think that infants have got no, or let's say they don't remember it. Okay. But now there is so much evidence, scientific evidence, that you do remember it. And that it's an integral part of your adulthood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow,
so even as an adult, you're still having those feelings of urgency. Just because you came into an urgent environment, it's actually the deepest part of your core, and you don't know why you have these urgent feelings, but you have. Okay, so anything that has ever happened to you is recorded in your cellular memory, and not only what's happened to you, but also what's happened to your mother, because you're coming from her body, her juices, and the seed, your father's seed. Okay, so everything is recorded in each strand of your DNA, and this in itself shows us, how powerful this divine feminine idea is. Okay, because when you realize that the whole entire earth is inside you, everything is inside you, everything's recorded in you. Okay, right from the very, very primitive, Neanderthals or whatever you want to call them, everything is inside of you and you're capable of everything. And you have all of the knowledge in the world. Okay. And back to the concept of self-love, right? So you were saying that when you were creating that concept, you were trying to decide whether that is somehow, egotistical. Okay.
Well, I was challenged a lot, I think, by the society that it was egotistical.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But that concept is really based on the idea of who you think you are. Okay. So we think we are, for example, you in your mind, you think, or your identity. Your identity is Julia, and you have this and this and this, and you have to do this and this and this. Okay. This is all mind stuff.
Yes.
Right. But when you start to really, really think what information your cells are holding and what you're capable of, and you start to love that, because most people are completely alien to their body.
Yeah.
They've got no idea what's going on in their body. I mean, if they really started to love their body and think, wow, my body is doing that, for example, because we're talking about the womb. Okay. Young ladies, when they start to get their period or menstruate or whatever it is, they're growing up in this environment instead of learning to embrace that as one of the most beautiful gifts that God has given them. I mean, for me, it's the biggest gift ever was to birth my children.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything better.
Yeah.
And that is the tool that has allowed me to do that. And so if already I have a negative idea about it, okay, so, it hurts, this, that, or, I hate getting my period, ew, it's disgusting, all of these sort of things that you hear. If girls were taught to embrace this as the very, very special gift of giving life, then they wouldn't have the resistance, because in breathwork, in rebirthing, we say resistance equals pain, surrender equals bliss. Okay, so when you start to resist your own body, you create problems in your body. Okay?
But it's also shame that's attached to that.
A lot.
So much shame is attached to femininity, to being a woman, and to periods and things like that. It's shameful. But yet, if we go back, and we go back to the times of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, for example. I mean, it is known fact that she anointed him. I'm not going to go into debates of the religious subjects here, but it's the fact that it was the combination of both, right?
Yes.
And also, it was the women were celebrated. She came from the Egyptian descendants, and their wisdom was passed on. And this is how, in their union together between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, the two of them have created this really new world from his seed and from her womb, and it's the symbolism. This is all symbolism, and it wasn't one was overpowering the other. It's not. It was about the fact that it was all in harmony together.
Right.
And I really truly believe that we are at the time now, as difficult as it is, and the old systems are breaking down. We're in the time now that we can actually start embracing that. That capability of creation, that capability of being able to access all of all of the information that we have within us. Like you said, that takes you within. So it's almost like shift of focus.
Right.
From the patriarchal standpoint, everything is about the achievements, what you can hold, what you can touch, what you can put your name on, and whatever. But when we actually shift the perspective and we do the paradigm shift that New Earth is actually catered towards, and we go within, when we go deep, when we go and we ask ourselves questions about who are we,
Absolutely.
right? And what are we here to do? What is my gift that I'm bringing to this life? How is this place better because I'm in it? What can I contribute? And when it becomes that that quest for self-awareness, for touching again with the spirit that is in us and that unites us so. We're all connected by breath, like you said. We breathe in, breathe out, the same breath. It's the same, and they say the breath is spirit, right?
Right.
So with these shifts and with all of this awareness, and hopefully, the intention of this beautiful conversation, and thank you so much for sharing, can't wait to hear more, is opening the space that people can go into and actually start making choices.
Right.
That that allow them to surrender to their authenticity and to who they truly are, to their capability of creativity. And the womb is not just for the women.
Of course.
There is womb for men.
Yes.
There's this book that I have shared with you, you know, that there is actually breathwork exercises where the men connect to their cosmic womb, to the phantom womb of creation. So what I believe is important is that we balance out these issues, these capabilities within us. They are not in a fight anymore. Who is better? Who is worse? How can I suppress? Why am I suppressed? You're not in this aggressor-victim kind of aggressor-victim-savior triangle.
Right.
You are stepping out of it by knowing that, you have both within you. And sooner or later, it's like the two children that are fighting. Sooner or later, they're going to have to just balance themselves out. And there is no shame in being, feminine or masculine. Because maybe even from this conversation, people could draw conclusions and say, well, the masculine sounds like it's bad, or it's because it's controlling or it's separating. It's not. It's supported us up until now for a reason.
But we need both.
Yes, exactly.
You can't do it on your own. And every woman wants a man, and every man wants to get back into a woman.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's it. So we're all trying to just get back into the womb.
Yeah, in many ways. So it's really beautiful to bow to that.
Yeah.
Okay. Allow yourself to embrace it. Because the more that you get in touch with your body and with all of the different sides of you, because we've got so many different sides.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And discover really, in essence, well, not to sound too cliched, but who you really are.
Exactly.
Okay. And so, getting away from the identity that you've built because you are born into a certain environment, and that environment may have been very advantageous to you. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're saying to you, for sure, everybody has problems. It's a part of the human condition to be confused, to have existential crises, to to not like parts of your body, to want to change things about yourself. All of these sort of things, I think they're very, very natural as thoughts. Okay. It's when you are misaligned in your deeds that it's not wrong, but you need to really think about what your choices are, exactly what you said in the beginning. Okay.
It's like that manifestation seminar that we had with you when we did the breath work course, and it was about the feminine and the masculine aspects, and the masculine aspect being the thought, and the feminine aspect being the spirit, right? And so when the thought,
energy,
energy, sorry,
yes,
energy,
yes.
So just so for manifesting, we need both.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
It's the choice of that union and choosing the union.
This is the thing, because if you're going to take it into that, which is beautiful, so metaphysically, okay, what we say is that energy is neutral. Yeah. Okay, and energy is, let's say, a feminine quality, because everything is made up of energy. Okay, and so that's science. We know that for a fact now. So we are just compacted energy. Everything is. Okay, so something needs to make that energy move to create a reality. Okay, so whether that's a human body, whether it's this table or whatever it is. Okay, so if the energy is just sitting there and is neutral, it needs the masculine energy, which is thought, to create it into becoming a reality. Otherwise, it won't move. Okay, just as your womb won't create a baby by itself, right? So whether you decide to, do that in a natural way by making love to a man, or whether now in these days you go to a clinic and you get, some sort of artificial way of becoming pregnant, you still need the male energy. Okay, so it's essential that we understand that there is nothing bad about the masculine energy. The masculine energy traditionally is sky.
Yeah.
Okay, and what a beautiful thing. Yeah. And all of the things that happen in the sky. Yeah. Right? So this is why masculine energy in patriarchy has been considered more spiritual, because it's the sky. Okay. But really, when you go into all of those old traditions, even the traditions that have been misinterpreted by each other, so it's not just, for example, that I think that there is a huge misunderstanding when you really go into any form of religion. At its deepest level, everybody is saying the same thing, and it's extremely beautiful. Now, after that, man's mind or women's mind or whatever, the mind has created rules which have made that religion socially acceptable to a certain culture. Okay, so in actual fact, we're taking something which is unexplainable, something which is incredibly powerful and beautiful and has everything in it, and we're trying to minimize it to fit into our culture and into our mind. We're trying to make ourselves understand it. Okay, and by doing that, in many ways, the first word that comes out of my mouth is you're insulting God and goddess. But that is also a human thought.
Yeah.
Okay, it's me, because I really have a great respect for understanding that I will never understand it.
Yeah, you accepted it.
I can only bow to it.
Yes.
I can only bow to it, and it doesn't matter where I am. I can embrace what that culture is teaching me. Okay, I don't need to fight anymore. And this is a wonderful way to live. Of course, I'm, like everybody else, I'm human. And so there are moments where I'll have this thought or that thought, or I'll get upset, angry, or enraged, or whatever it is with certain thoughts that come in. Okay, because I'm not saying that if there are things that are going on which are harming people, that you shouldn't do anything about it. Okay, I'm just saying that there are so many different ways to look at life, to look at yourself, and going back to self-love. really loving that divine energy within yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's this really wonderful line. I really don't remember the name of the song at this moment, but it may come to me, or maybe we can write it on the bottom of the podcast. And the woman says, "Looking in the mirror, I love you, sweet God."
That's beautiful.
Okay. And some people would be like, well, what? She's looking in the mirror and, oh, I love you, sweet God. No, it's not that. It's really looking within and knowing that God is inside of you. Whatever is outside of you is inside of you.
Yeah.
Your body is just a shell.
Yeah.
Nothing more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, yeah, it's so beautiful. It really is, Julia.
There is so much that we could explore with this subject.
Yes.
And especially with us being women and having experience, in so many different facets of what it's like being a woman.
Absolutely.
This has so much depth to it.
A lot.
And, we're finding out, like you said, when you have that humbleness, when you realize that you can't actually grasp the magnitude of it, the divinity of it, you can only bow in front of it and just receive it every single day, because every single day we get new information about who we are.
Yes, exactly.
That's that question that you were saying, like, who are we? Well, we're evolving every day.
Exactly.
Who we are will change every single day.
Absolutely.
There will be new ways of, understanding who you are. But when you're attached to identity, that's something you need to support every day. That's something you need to prove to yourself and others every day.
Yes.
So it's like, it's actually really exciting that we live in a time when we talk about these things freely and openly, when we've had enough experience and, we gave it enough thought. We sat with it enough that we can actually now share now in front of other people and let them actually see these things from different perspectives, because people can get so stuck in their way. Like you said, it's a human thing to do.
Absolutely.
It's a human thing to do, to say that this is black and this is white. Well, when we're so convinced, nothing grows there. All you do is just repeating the same cycle over and over again. And this is how, again, when we met, this is how I felt, for example. I was stuck. I felt like I was kind of going through the same karmic cycle too. It was, why can't I get out of this? Why can't I get out of this imprisonment? The same thoughts, the same fears. I think it's the reoccurring fears that make people feel so powerless. That's why they need the control so much. It's because they're trying to get away from their own fears. They need something on the outside to confirm to them that those fears are not valid. So they're looking for things to grab onto, to make them feel safer, which is an illusion. But at that point in time, when we met, and there were so many different fears and so many different thoughts and so many different challenges that we were going through, I'm so grateful that, I met you, because then it didn't take me to different books and different ways of dealing with it through the psychologists, which all of them are great. They are all great. It's humans sharing their experience of being human. That's
Absolutely.
it. But when this whole journey of going within was natural, so there was no interference of actually, you need to do this, you need to do that. You were in control of your own experience. It was your internal experience. All you could do was just share, but it was a psychedelic trip, really, happening within you that you were just observing of. So it allowed me at the time to challenge what I was thinking before. Were those fears real? Were they valid? Also challenge the way that I thought about my own sovereignty.
Right.
So that was when my journey, my experience of, I wouldn't say emancipation as much, I would say more about my experience with my creativity and my capabilities really took its own course. Before, I was a housewife for so many years. I was under my dad, who was a very, he wanted to know everything and be in control of everything.
Right.
Let's put it this way. So, having found myself in the place where I didn't have anymore those responsibilities, because he passed away, and I was going through a divorce. So I found myself in a completely new environment, and I was thinking, so how do I deal with this? And when you have learned helplessness, which most of us have, we have learned helplessness, and we learned it with COVID as well. You think to yourself, well, you know what? I'd rather go back to what I know. Why don't I just go back to being constricted, being in that, imprisonment of my own incapabilities, and kind of just, do what I know. Or I have a choice to actually go and expand on who I am. And this is where breath work has really helped me. So here I was being in Cyprus feeling stuck. And then when we were doing those beautiful that breath work and beautiful rituals of planting the seeds and expansion, and you really you realize that the more you expand your lungs, the more you expand your life.
So true. It's incredible, right? And you can't really understand it until you have the experience.
That's the thing,
right?
So that's why it's. And you learn it also on your own afterwards. Okay, I love doing breath work with you, but you actually learn that, you can be in control of your breath. That means you can be in control of your life.
Absolutely.
You don't need an authority figure to tell you how to live your life. So I went from being stuck in one place, expanding like mad, moving to Dubai, even during the time of COVID, starting all of these projects of New Earth, the New Earth Studios, New Earth Cafe, Self-Love, Value Game, these podcasts. All of that were those little seeds that me and you planted at some point. I even remember the little pot that we had and, and the intentions that we're going in it and everything, and watering it every day, and saying and sitting here with you right now, co-creating this reality.
Right.
From those principles of impregnating the energy with thought and watering with your intention.
Right.
And sitting here and saying, well, you know what? It's possible. Whatever ideas we have in our mind of our incapability or our powerlessness, it's all just something we agreed to once upon a time.
Absolutely.
And we can just as easily make it mean something else and agree to another reality.
100%.
Choose another algorithm. And then it doesn't mean it's less responsibility. It's actually more responsibility. But responsibility means responsibility.
Right.
Not powerlessness. So that's where, again, this relationship with the feminine, and relationship with the womb, helping each other out, helping each other as sisters, and this, as community.
Right.
Knowing that you are stepping into something new, not on your own. You have a whole community behind you that are all going and thriving towards the same thing. And you don't feel alone anymore. That then becomes a totally different quality of living.
Absolutely.
Because you're tapping into something that's beyond you, and you're sharing it equally with everybody else.
And there are a lot of people going into agreement with something.
Yeah.
Which means that there is a collective consciousness going in a certain direction. Okay. So this is really, really important.
That's it.
Right? Because the reason that, the earth has come to this point is because of the collective consciousness, right? So in my opinion, you can never destroy the earth. The earth will just end up, we'll just implode on ourselves, and then we'll just become...
implode on ourselves.
Yeah, we'll just become, nourishment for the earth and for other things to grow. So I'm not afraid of that. And sometimes, in my mind, when I'm really, really in that space, I look forward to it. I say, wow, the earth is going to get her own back. You know what I mean? And even though humans are incredible, I just think to myself, okay, and COVID showed us that even for a very short period of time, if we're still, if we don't do anything, then the earth just flourishes and flourishes, and this is such a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing to watch during COVID. And this is why, there are a lot of reasons to be grateful towards that episode in our history, right? But the collective consciousness is extremely important because, we always say, well, we choose our reality. That's true, okay? For example, if you really want to have that tribal reality, well, maybe you can go to Latin America or Africa and live with a tribe and see how that feels.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Or you can choose different realities. You can live in Dubai, or you can live wherever you want to live. Every place has its own reality.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that reality is based on the collective consciousness of the people living in that place. If you want to have a human reality. Okay. So unfortunately, the human reality now is like you can go to, I've never been, but you can go to Mount Everest and you might find a piece of rubbish. Okay. And that's something that's really disturbing, because sometimes you walk and walk and walk and walk on a hike and you get to the most wonderful, incredible place, and there's some kids there with, their mobile phones playing like trance music, or, and you think to yourself, why are they here?
But why?
Yeah, it must be a part of my perception, or I have to just go to a different place, right? But this is what I'm saying, that the ego.
Yeah.
Okay. You see, there's the need to control even the environment.
Yes.
Okay. And that's all fear-based.
Yeah.
Because if you let go of the music or the rubbish, or you were careful, then that environment would give you so much power, so much information, so much love, that after you leave that space, even by sitting there for, 15 minutes or 20 minutes, nature itself will give you back everything that you feel like has been drained from you. Right? And this is the Great Mother. Okay, so the Great Mother, our Earth, we have to respect it.
Yeah, endless resourcefulness.
Right? Endless resourcefulness. And so, you could go and live in a cave, as my mentor, Leonard Orr, he would make fun. He was always joking, right? And I love that about him. But he would say, well, you can really easily, any of you can be gurus. Go and live in a cave by yourself and see how that goes for you. That's absolutely fine. But can you be a guru in your reality? Can you be a guru here?
Yeah.
Right. Can you allow all of these things to happen around you and master your energy to the point where you either create your reality in the environment that you choose consciously, or if there are parts of it which you cannot change, surrender. Okay. And this is, I think, one of the conundrums of humanity.
Yeah, that's the dilemma.
Right, it's the dilemma. And it's always beautiful. All of these things are, can really activate you, especially if you're feeling in a place inside of yourself where you're very vulnerable. Okay. On the other hand, for me, turning to my breath and turning to the elements of nature and understanding where my place is within all of that brings a different type of reality into my mind, and a different type of awareness that, yes, I am living in this reality, but there's something way beyond it that I can turn to when it's not working for me, right? And I think it's just very, very important to realize that we always have a choice, and it starts with the individual. And the more that we have individuals who are going towards a collective consciousness,
yes, exactly,
the sooner our reality will change as a collective.
Exactly.
Right? And it's essential that people understand that.
It's like a question of nature.
Right.
But nature and human nature.
Right.
So they both exist together, but and there is very common laws under all of that. But the way that we are relating to each other is different to the way, say, for example, the animal kingdom relates to each other.
Right.
Even though they're here to assist us, and they are actually a reflection of our interrelation. And they're actually showing us in many, many forms that we need to look at our relationships, and we need to start really treating everything as one rather than a separation.
Right.
And so human nature is relational. We are about relations. As the moment we are born, like you said, you experience separation, and then you get to experience yourself as the reaction of your mother.
Right.
How she sees you, her first expressions is how you feel about who you are.
Absolutely.
And it takes us a while, and we still, until the end of our days, will see the reflection of ourselves in others, and make it mean something about us. So it's also the idea that, we are all mirrors to one another. We are interrelated.
Yeah.
And we are reflecting parts of ourselves. If there is something that triggers us, what is it within us that is in resistance? And what is it that needs to be acknowledged, to see the oneness in one another? I think this is the biggest conquest that the humans are going through.
Absolutely.
Is to accept themselves in another.
Right.
And they say love is accepting ourselves in another.
That's beautiful.
Accepting that we are one. This is what love is about.
Yeah.
And this is how love really travels through the human experience, through all the chapters, like you said, of our lives, of our, collective consciousness. And recently when me and you were breathing, and we were breathing into the womb, and the whole woman experience, and was prominent for me. And I remember just weeping. I remember weeping from the collective feminine releasing its pain of loss. Pain of loss of the loved ones, of the children, of because that's the main pain, I think, for women, because we're so connected to our children.
Absolutely.
And then there's also the pain of suppression, the pain of aggression, the anger that the women have towards men, and I'm sure the same men have towards women. All of that was coming up as the collective debris of our human experience. It's shedding of these erosions and corrosions of what it means to relate to one another.
Absolutely.
And this is something that when you experience that and you feel that current going through your body, and you experience it with yourselves, and you understand deeply why world is the way it is, and why is there this undercurrent sadness behind so many things that were happening on the earth. You also realize that we are connected. But we are one. But if I can feel you, you can feel me.
Beautiful.
And that means that we can, by focusing on healing these parts and releasing, each one of us contributes to the whole, contributes to the rest. That's why you were giving me these exercises, and we're going to come to them a little bit later, these affirmations that are so powerful, because you, from helplessness, you go into self-awareness and being and capability by actually reprogramming your own experience, and in the knowing that when you're doing it with yourself, you're doing that for the rest of the humanity.
Absolutely.
Whether you're seeing it right now or not, it still imprints in your cells, and those children that are here after you, they will hold it in your encoding.
Beautiful.
So
absolutely. And another way that, and this is so beautiful what you said, Julia, and so true. And each one of us is an expression of the whole entire earth, of everybody. And there is often that feeling, I think, that the more that you get into this as a woman, and all of the things that have happened in the past, and whatever happened to you and has happened to all of our sisters and has happened to all of our brothers as well. It's not just us. I mean, it's so many things. I mean, men are so wounded also, right? And we need to hold this in our embrace.
Yeah.
Right? It's a beautiful thing to hold this energy and allow a man to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right? But going back to this shedding, okay. So Leonard, my mentor, he used to always say that every time a woman gets her period, she's shedding all of the accumulated negative energy of her environment every month. And so there is that continual detoxing of anything that's going on, and it's happening through the woman, right? And I always thought that this was an incredible, in the beginning, I couldn't really understand it. But the more that you get in touch with your womb energy, the more you get in touch with your period and understand it, the more that you allow its natural flow and you don't resist it, the more that you realize you're cleansing not only your own body, but all of the energies that are going on around you. It's coming out, right?
That makes sense, yeah.
Yes. And there's a beauty in that, a real beauty in it, and an appreciation of being that vessel of cleansing the planet because you're a woman.
Yeah.
Okay. And being able to hold the space for all of those beautiful men out there who are accumulating all of this energy and expected to do so much. Okay, so a part of the patriarchal society is that it's really harmed men in so many ways, many ways more than women. Because, you know, from the moment we're born, we have an expectation that they are going to take care of us, right? That, I mean, I remember being in my own relationships sometimes, and specifically before I started to understand what a dynamic it is when you are in victim consciousness.
Oh, yes.
Right. So when you have an expectation of somebody else to take care of you, whether that expectation is conscious or unconscious, you're already putting yourself in a victim consciousness. So you're a victim and they're the ones who are saving you. Okay. Now, when there is that dynamic in any relationship, the victim becomes the manipulator because, you know, a victim has power. Okay. But they are just using it in a way in which they think they can get what they want, right? And the person who is the savior is in the position of responsibility and taking on the burden not only of their own stuff, but of the victim's stuff. Okay, so trying to take care of everything. And so the man has been put in this position where they have to take care of their family. They have to be the ones that are earning the money. Traditionally, now we're talking. I know that this paradigm has started to change, fortunately, but we're in the time where there is a confusion in the paradigm.
Yes, for sure.
A huge confusion, right? And so women are going for all of this empowerment and wanting to do things and own themselves and all of this, which is absolutely beautiful. But it's left, you know, a lot of men really not knowing what their position is anymore, because traditionally they've grown up with the example that they have to do certain things. And even the women who are in those positions, rather than surrendering to, let's say, collaboration, okay, and community, so loving collaboration, there is the expectation from both of them, from the male and the female.
And there is a need.
Right. I think that surrendering to who you are and realizing that everything is inside of you and that you're capable of everything, and getting together with another person, regardless of what gender they are, and allowing yourselves to merge in a way which is in which benefits you both and benefits your environment. So each person taking responsibility, you know. I think that that's the important thing.
Well, this to a degree is the principles of the womb.
Right.
Right? So there's an agreement. There is a harmony.
Right.
There is an acceptance of both. There is like almost like a soul contract that happens. That the womb agrees to host it. The seed agrees to kind of spread its genes, and you know. So they work in unison together. And coming back to this triangle of Cartman, I think it's called, the one of victim and aggressor and savior. I think it's based on the fact that there is an innate need for all of these three players in each other. So there is a certain need for, I don't know, safety, variety, significance, validation, even love or whatever it might be. But it's again projecting that that there is an exchange goes on between them that somehow puts them in a position of power.
Right.
So it's a power struggle. So it goes between the three power struggles. So the way to eliminate it or balance out or harmonize such a dynamic, which is a destructive dynamic, of course, is to claim own sovereignty, like what we were speaking about
Absolutely.
before. Claiming it by knowing that you can step out of that dynamic. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because it's so imprinted in our human collective experience, the aggressor and the victim and the savior. I mean, Jesus Christ was that. He went through all three of them. And in the eyes of the people. So by actually claiming on sovereignty, recognizing that you hold the answers to your own life.
Exactly.
You choose what laws of universe you choose to accept and not to accept, what works, what doesn't work for you, what you want to create. You choose, you acknowledge your power, your capability of a womb, your capability of creation.
Absolutely.
Your capability of, creating a whole world anew, just by your thought, by your choice, by the energy that you emit, and that's what you. And if you want to recreate these dynamics that are unhealthy in your life, it's only by choice because you need something on the outside.
Absolutely.
The womb doesn't need anything on the outside to a degree. Like it's within, it gets fed with a host, of course, but it's self-containing. It's got inside of all the elements. It's got the water, it's got the food,
everything.
It's in the dark. That there is no you can't even see.
Timeless.
It's timeless, you see. So by calling forth that capability of creation, that capability of sovereignty, of self awareness and self-resourcefulness, then you realize that you're limitless and that nothing on the outside can really touch you because you have everything that you need. And that's like birthing the new earth. The womb is the new earth.
That's beautiful.
It's a creation of the womb, the new earth.
That's gorgeous. That's so beautiful, honey. And I'm very grateful that you have me on this podcast.
It's so beautiful to have you on here. We could talk for hours.
Yes. And I was thinking it would be really beautiful to just go through some affirmations, right? And breathe into those a little bit for the audience, and they can breathe into it also themselves.
Yes.
And before we sign off, maybe you'd like to just talk for a second about your shop and so there's the New Earth Cafe in Alberari, and this is spreading, and everything is ethically sourced and organic and beautiful, delicious food. You don't feel like you need anything. I love it. Really, really great.
Yeah, well, these are the seeds. These are the seeds that we have planted.
Absolutely.
And right now they are taking their first steps. And it's really humbling to watch such creations flower and flourish. With self-love, of course, it's the concept that's behind
Beautiful.
it. It's come through quite uncomfortable experiences of perhaps getting out of that triangle we were talking about. And again, reclaiming sovereignty through self-love, through the communal outlook. So in the shop and on our websites, what we offer is, organic products, ethically sourced.
Yes.
We've got beautiful kaftans. I'm wearing one of them.
This is gorgeous, this kaftan. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we've got that. We've got our guashas from beautiful jade stone. So it's incorporating loving yourself through the rituals of nourishing yourself every single day.
Beautiful.
So it's
and loving your body.
And loving your body,
Yeah.
yeah. So whether it's essential oils that we've got to offer, beautiful candles with crystals, and whether it is, shirts and t-shirts and yoga mats that are made out of vegan leather.
Best yoga mats I've ever used.
Thank
so
you.
Beautiful and really, really, really nice design.
Thank you. Well, that's the idea behind it. It's awakening your love towards yourself that is self-containing and self-developing, and just being able to give you little tools and little exercises that we share, whether it's breath work or it's little moon rituals or singing bowls, whatever that comes. It's just being part of the community that is loving yourself in a way that is enriching everybody else. So it's this ecosystem of spreading, sharing, giving and receiving.
Yeah, giving and receiving.
Love. And with the New Earth Studio as well as Self-Evident, we are just holding the space for these beautiful conversations that each one of them are healing. I am of a great believer of energy traveling to the receptive ears and receptive, individuals that are ready now to hear. The reason why that has appeared on their screens and they have chosen to click on it is because there's something that answers this to their spirit. Their spirit has called forth to hear these truths, and there is something here for everyone. To heal or to reinstate their connection with themselves, and that's what we're here for, and we won't stop. We'll carry on, bringing these beautiful conversations to the table.
Amazing.
And waiting for comments and questions. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
And with the Self-Love Cafe, that's more healing on the food level. So what you
the New Earth
ingest,
Cafe.
the New Earth Cafe. It's we're great believers in food be thy medicine. So everything is organic, and it's non dairy and non gluten, but most importantly, the concept behind it is based on chakras. That cafe right now is also serving as the place for our community here in Albarari that can come and bring their gifts and share, their gifts through the events that we're having. Like, for example, we're going to be hosting an event for Katia today at 6:00. I doubt that is going to be out in time, but we will share with you how it went afterwards. So it's the place, a holding spot for the community to align their hearts, spirits, and their bodies to the new way of living, which is communal. So that's us. There's going to be more to come, I'm sure.
Of course.
And we're writing a book right now. Well, Alex is writing a book on all of the experiences we've been through, again with the intention of planting a seed of speaking up your truth, whatever it means for you, because it's very, very healing. Just speaking like that, and it's so healing to be able to share the experience and with the knowing that it's serving in some way. So that's
beautiful.
That's Self-Love, New Earth, and Value Game is another one, but. Holding the space for that one. It's taking its time. So
wonderful, my darling. And I also want to share that we've got Global Breathing Awareness, which is our new website, which is a community platform for all breath workers and all healers to go on. It's free, and it is a space where you can, in the way any social platform works, go in, meet people, share about yourself. You can also go deeper into it and approach us and advertise for yourself, or even create courses within the platform, so that you can share your healing modality, your own beauty, your own self within that space. So
what a beautiful concept.
Yes,
honestly.
Please go on and sign up at Global Breathing Awareness. And we've got a wonderful seminar, which is in Samothraki, Greece, which is really the embodiment of the Divine Mother for me. That place is just so natural and wild and beautiful. And you see how the trees interact with each other, and the forests and the waterfalls, and it was originally a place of matriarchal worship. In the ancient times, it's really a phenomenal place, and we hold a seminar there with the breath so people can breathe in all of this power, all of this energy, and align with earth energy. And we've got online courses, lots of stuff for you to attend. Please,
the seminars are so
in and have a look.
transformational. That's all I wanted to just add, because we've done these seminars, and they are so transformational. Just to hear you speak and share your wisdom, which is always flowing, never ending. You are the embodiment of the Divine Mother, of the Divine Feminine. So it's beautiful to be in that. To be in that environment and to know that you can also then invoke that in yourself and keep on spreading it with other people. That's the whole idea, right?
Absolutely. It's just to spread the word.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. So shall we do this? I'm going to read some affirmations for our audience, which we created with Julia. And they're very beautiful. Yeah. And so I'm going to read them out. And all I want you guys to do is breathe into them. So I'll put you through that meditation as well.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you.
So first thing I want you to do is just close your eyes and relax. And as you're relaxing, inhale and exhale through your nose. And take a few deep breaths and just really start to explore your body with your breath. So observe where your breath is going in your body. Okay? So as you inhale through your nose, where is that breath going? And as you exhale, what's happening? And how does it feel? And in the beginning, if you have any form of anxiety or anything, it might start to come up just because you're breathing. And so whenever you feel any knots in any of your body, you can just take a beautiful deep inhalation into that space and exhale and let go. And another really beautiful deep inhale and exhale and let go. And now, whether you're a man or a woman listening to this, whether you have a womb or whether you have your phantom womb, I want you to imagine that, and I want you to breathe a big, deep breath into it and let go. And again, deep, deep, deep breath and let go. And each breath brings more love into your body. Each breath brings more expansion into your body. Each inhale brings more life into every single cell of your body. The breath is a magnificent tool which permeates every single cell, every single DNA strand. It affects everything in your body. Deep inhale and just let go. Beautiful. And breathe into this affirmation. So just keep breathing. First affirmation, my body is a vessel for much more than I think I can contain. I can contain more love, more light, more expansion than I can ever imagine. Take a deep, deep breath. Contain that love, contain that expansion. And exhale. And take another deep breath and exhale. It can be painful to break the shell during expansion. The more I surrender on my exhale, the easier it is. Take a deep inhale and let go. Expand with your inhale. Surrender with your exhale. Take a deep inhale. As a sovereign person, I am the projection of everyone's love as well as fear. I can hold the space for others' projections while staying grounded in my sovereignty. Take a deep inhale and exhale. And take a deep inhale. I speak up sooner. I don't need anyone's approval. It's safe to be unapologetically me. Take a deep inhale. And let go. Another deep inhale. I forgive myself for belittling myself to satisfy patriarchal conditioning projected as false power. Deep inhale. Exhale. Deep inhale. My power is in my flexibility, my vulnerability, and my ability to contain and grow life. Deep inhale. And let go. Deep inhale. My whole being is the womb for conception and manifestation. Deep inhale and let go. Deep inhale. I forgive men for everything completely. Deep inhale. Let go. Deep inhale. I forgive women for everything completely. Deep inhale. Let go. Deep inhale. I am supported in my sovereignty by my brothers and sisters. They give me the space to grow into being fully, authentically me. Deep inhale and let go. Another deep inhale and just get back into your body and love your body. Thank your body. Thank your breath. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So much love.
So, thank you, Julia.
Thank you. So beautiful to finish on this note. In this beautiful, loving embrace of the unity and balance and harmony.
It's beautiful.
Every time that we connect to the breath, we connect to our spirit, and it's just beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone who's been listening to us. Thank you so much for your attention, for holding the space for us, and for making it all possible for us. Because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing this.
Absolutely.
So we honor you today. Thank you, and until next time. Bye.
Bye.